Hello. How are you doing today? I'm doing good. Thank you for asking.
Anyone else want to join the People Who Talk to Themselves Club?
I've decided to spice it up a little bit. Today we are going to be reacting to the old books that I wrote in 8th grade. Grab some popcorn, grab a drink, and we are going to dive right into this extremely embarrassing novel that I wrote. Well, I was just a wee little lad.
Let's ride.
I have a blanket with me to make it a cozy experience. We are not going to be reading the first book that I ever wrote because that is on Wattpad, and I do not remember the password to the account. So I can't delete it. I'm so excited. This novel was the first book of a series that I actually did complete, and I just didn't do anything with it. Oh my gosh, I actually did make a playlist. Oh, crying in your room alone. Oh, this is so fun. So this series took about 3 years of my life, 4 years of my life. So it was from when I was about 12 to about 16, which is when I started my book, Tag Your It, which is my debut. Let's go. This is when I was still trying to find my writing style. I was experimenting with sounding smart because I used big words. And you're gonna see that in here. Like, I would look up words. I would look up synonyms for words, and I would choose the most complicated one and be like, yeah, that fits there. For no reason. Because I thought I was smart. Ooh, this is a lot of text. Baby! Hashtag bring back dialogue. Okay, ready? This is not a dream. A voice echoed through my head. You work for the Young Assassins Association. You will not speak unless spoken to. You must cooperate or we will terminate you. Right to the point, she did not hesitate. My eyes snapped open, but I was instantly blinded by a searing white light beaming down from above. A disorienting fog engulfed my brain. And the words of an animated voice... I can't read. A disorienting... I squinted, trying to shield my eyes from the overwhelming brilliance. I clamped them shut again when I cautiously reopened them. I clamped them shut again when I cautiously reopened them. The lights had vanished, leaving behind a murky void. Attempting to move my head to survey my surroundings, I was instantly seized by a violent wave of dizziness. I shut my eyes tightly once more, trying to halt the world from spinning out of control. My head pounded. Panic began to creep in as I realized my forehead was clamped down by a band, rendering me helpless. My arms and legs were also tied down, splayed out on a horizontal bed. I lay there, vulnerable and utterly defenseless, like a specimen under a microscope. She kinda ate. Summoning every ounce of courage and strength, I turned my head despite the strong band. With a quiver, I pried my eyes open once again. I found myself in a featureless white room without any windows, its walls and floors drenched in an unbroken expanse of sterile white. I was surrounded by the relentless monotony of this color. See? That's what I'm talking about. I was surrounded by the relentless monotony of this color. But the next part actually kind of eats. So I'm not going to hit on it a lot. I was surrounded by the relentless monotony of this color, the sensation of being trapped inside an empty canvas awaiting its first brushstrokes. I flexed my hand, then my foot, an act to ensure I was fully conscious. I can't read. I flexed my hand, then my foot, an act to ensure I was fully conscious, but the realization that I was helplessly restrained in this sterile abyss only deepened my growing sense of foreboding. This is not a dream, the voice said again. You work for the Young Assassins Association. You will not speak unless spoken to. You must cooperate or we will terminate you. It occurred to me that my memory was gone. Oh yeah. It occurred to me that my memory was gone. I could not remember my family, where I was from, or when my birthday was. There was only one word in my mind. Eleanor. That must have been my name, I thought to myself. Panic swelled in my chest. Where was I? Why couldn't I remember anything? Why was I tied down? My memory was gone, but I was aware of nearly everything I saw. I knew colors, I knew feelings. I had a large vocabulary. Anything about my past had been wiped from my mind. I heard something to my left. Hinges being turned. I could only move my eyes, but wanting to exert any more energy to exert any more energy into turning my head against the band. A gentleman adorned in white laboratory coat stood, clutching a clipboard, his short blonde hair framing his face. Glasses were set on his nose. He wasn't very muscular, but his face was worn as if he had been through battle. He had clearly come from the closed door behind him. "Please state your name," he said to me. "Please state your name," the man said to me. His voice was deep and somewhat frightening, sending shivers down my spine. I didn't respond. I just stared at him with dead eyes, the silence in the room growing heavier by the second. 8. "Please state your name," he repeated, a hint of annoyance leaking from his words. Eleanor. Eleanor, I said back, my voice quivering higher than I thought it would be, accompanied by a strong English accent that felt out of place. "Yeah," he wrote something down, his gaze never leaving me, peering up through his glasses. "What do you remember?" I blinked. I blinked, trying to make the pulsing headache go away. What do you mean?" My mind felt like a jumbled mess. The man muttered something under his breath, then continued, his tone growing more ominous with each passing moment. "What do you remember about your past?" My heart raced as I desperately tried to grasp at something, anything, but I came up empty-handed, and fear gnawed at the edges of my thoughts. Why didn't I remember anything? I feel like I'm doing a really good job. "Good," the man said, a chilling smirk playing on his lips as he wrote something down on his clipboard. He then walked up to me, his heavy boots echoing in the dim room, and he undid multiple bands that were holding me down, the sound of metal buckles clinking. I don't like that at all. That goes right in the bucket with, like, moist and burger. Ugly words. I didn't move, paralyzed by creeping dread. Shakespearean. The man sighed with impatience. "Miss Eleanor, please follow me." He gestured to a door behind me, leaving me with a sense of... This is a long chapter. Oh my gosh. 101,358 words. Whoa! She popped off. "See, this is what I'm talking about. Now, you're probably gonna feel a little tired," he explained, "and more pain in the prefrontal cortex and medulla." "Call me Dr. House." "I am a surgeon!"
I am a surgeon!
What are you doing?" I asked, letting my panic show through my eyes. "Strapping you down." "Strapping you down," he said simply, his voice devoid of empathy. I forgot to mention that it might cause thrashing and intense pain. "What?" My eyes widened as I felt a searing whip of pain in my side. It felt like a hot wire was being pressed against my skin, and I couldn't suppress a scream. The agony intensified as I felt the same pain in my neck, the bonds against my shoulders and legs holding me down as I thrashed. I couldn't control myself. I felt lightheaded, the world spinning. As the searing hot pain continued to spread through my body, I let out another agonizing scream, then slowly lost consciousness, leaving me in a world of shadows and torment. Someone should check on this girl. I don't think she's well. "Good to see you awake." His voice was 5 times louder than it had been. "What did you do?" I demanded an answer, feeling a wave of anger rush through my blood. "We injected a serum that increased your senses and reflexes by 50%, he explained. "It was a basic procedure." The sudden anger left as soon as it came. Why did it leave? I would be pissed. Excuse you. It was replaced with uncertainty and fear. I still don't understand. I shook my head, blinking rapidly. What am I doing here? I can't not do my main character's voice in like a pick-me voice, especially if it stutters. "You were selected to be trained here at the YAA. He acted like it was a privilege, which stands for Young Assassins Association. So I sat up, getting lightheaded once again. I blinked, putting one and one together. "You want me to become an assassin. You will be trained for a total of 5 months, and if not terminated, you will be sent out into the field." He gestured around with his pencil. I was still processing what he was saying. "Why did you have to erase my memory?" I questioned finally. We would risk the safety of the association if we let you keep it," he explained numbly. "If you were some sort of agent sent by the government, you would have no memory of your mission." "Oh," I fiddled my finger. "All I know is that you're 15 years old and your parents are deceased." That is outstanding news. "Anything else?" "No," he shook his head. "We will have to start your training right away." "What?" I furrowed my brows. "Your training," he said again, "to be an assassin." "What if I don't want to be an assassin?" I asked. Then you die. He looked up at me and as I sucked in a breath. You don't have a choice. He gestured to my left wrist and I looked at it. Beneath my palm was a tattoo that had a snake surrounded by a thick black ring. Below it, it was the characters Agent 055. Picture for reference. Well, guys, that is chapter 1 of the book that I wrote when I was 12. I really hope y'all enjoyed that because I did. I got so many like war flashbacks. It was fun. It was fun. Comment if you want another video because there are some crazy things in here. So yeah, and it has, you thought that chapter was long? It has 73 chapters. Okay, yeah. Bye. Bye-bye.